Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!
Well, the Brickyard becomes the location for the 9th round of the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship out of 11. And still, the battles carry on throughout the respective classes. Welcome along, everybody, to both the AP Casting Network and the Champion Sim Racing YouTube channel. You join Alex Goldschmidt, James Parfitt and Ross Smith once again as we head to one of the most famous tracks known globally, and it is currently the oldest purpose-built facility around the world, just after Brooklands, which is now defunct, and the third one being Monza in Italy. But let's remind you of the schedule of the 2025 calendar. As last time out, we were back in August at Road America. We're now at Indianapolis on the 25th of September. Road Atlanta is the penultimate stop on the tour before we head to VIR, Virginia International Raceway, for the season finale on November 20th. But of course, let's introduce the circuit, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It has been around since 1909. We're going to be running on the 2014 layouts of the current road course. 14 turns in all and measures just under 2.5 miles. Of course, there's going to be the keys to the race that we always tend to discuss during the broadcast, and it's going to be no different here at Indianapolis. You're going to have to be a traffic whisperer. You've got to nail that chicane, especially that's turns 1, 2, and 3. You've got to be early on the throttle coming out of the corners. And then we look at, obviously, what tyre combinations are going to be used for the GTs and the hypercars. And, of course, it's going to be the mediums for the GTs. You're going to probably be looking at a 2-stop strategy. For the hypercars, it's going to be anywhere between 3 to 4 stops, and they'll either be able to choose the hard or the medium compound tyres, or if the weather changes, then we go to the wets. Then we have to look at the championship standings coming into the business end of this season. Let's first of all start off with the hypercar standings. Daniel Kirby, just 3 points ahead of Troy Uyen, who took the win at Road America last time out. Ben Kesby rounds out the top 3 with Johnny Gutierrez, Gilles Lalonde, John Mayer, Jerry Chen, Brian Hall, Egit Karabasak, Sahil Mustak and Mike Bell rounding out the 11 that have scored points this season. Next up, we go to and the person that's really been one of the big talking points has been Lanny Hall. He's leading the way by just 16 points ahead of Carl Strahal. Norm Graff has had 3 wins this season, but has not been around for the last two rounds, so hopefully he's going to be back in that Aston Martin Valkyrie. Oliver Day, Scar Pope, Norm Graff showing up again. Well, he's shown up twice on this championship standings. We'll excuse that. Philip Ducati, Adrian Rice and Diego Rodriguez round out the Hypercar AM standings. Then we go to LMP2. Alec King, 6 wins so far out of 8 races this season, and he is a comfortable 18 points ahead of Luciano Ichazo. JT Tammy, Tucker Martin, Michael Locke, Preston McNair, Mika Dawn, Cole McMillan, Becky Ely Clark and Tom Lane round out the top 10 with Josh McGlinsky, Stuart Bodge and Damon Nadrasic rounding out the 13 that have scored points, even though we've only got Alec, JT and Micah on the grid tonight. And then we go to our penultimate category, and it's the LMGT3 Pros. 11 points separate Ryan Paulbert Reyes and James Walker in the championship standings, with Reyes having 4 wins, Walker having 3. Alan Holden in the 296 Ferrari rounds out the top 3, a further 11 points adrift, with Matthew Overton and Eric Jacobs rounding out the top 5. Dave Kors, William Schlichling, Don Fryman and Daniel Kent all having scored points this season. And last but by certainly no means least, before we get onto the team standings, is the LMGT3 AM. Stephen Miller on nearly a 30-point advantage after what we saw at Road America. Alexander McQuarrie trails him by just 28 points, and then it's 1 point behind is Max Sunkenlap rounding out the top 3. David Anderson and Paul Ibbotson closely in the battle for 4th position, 7 points separating them, with Tom Nisella, James Bowders, Frank Radosti, and Olivier Gervais rounding out the top 9 in the LMGT3 standings for AMS. Shade Tree Motorsports LMP2 have a 50-point advantage over Dark Thunder Racing GT3 going into this 9th round of the championship season, with LSD Motorsport GT3, Vice Racing, TP Performance by STM, Ram Ranch by STM, and Spin Doctors Racing rounding out the 7 teams that have been in the championship standings all the way through this season. And with that in mind, we are getting ready very shortly to get underway for 90 minutes here in Indianapolis. And let's bring in James Parfit and Ross Smith. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Brickyard. All good, all good. Yourself?
It's a lazy man circuit. They could have done so much more with this infield, and I don't like it. So there we go. I'm going to hand over to Ross now because I've had a rant already. But what we will need to do before we bring in Ross is bring up the grid, dear sir. So I'll bring up the grid for you.
Okay, let's have a look at the grid for round 9 out of 11. It's going to be Troy Uyen and Daniel Kirby rounding out the front row. Brian Hall and Jerry Chen will be on row number 2. Then it's the 2 teammates, Johnny Gutierrez and Gilles Lalonde, rounding out the next row. John Mayer and Alec King, leading the LMP2 brigade, will round out the top 4 rows as we're getting the formation underway ahead of 90 minutes of racing here at Indianapolis. The top 10 completed by Norm Graff and JT Tanny. Lanny Hall and Adrian Rice complete your top 6 rows in the Cadillac and the Acura. Then we go to row number 7. Michael Locke and Ryan Paulbert Reyes rounding out that row, with Alan Holden and Alexander McQuarrie rounding out row number 8. There's going to be a total of 25 cars on this grid. Max Sunkenlap and Paul Ibbotson round out row 9, and completing your top 20 will be Stephen Miller and Matthew Overton. 5 more cars to take you through the grid, and that will be Eric Jacobs, James Bowders, Tom Nisella and Carl Strahal, with Olivier Gervais rounding out your 25 strong competitors. Ross, Indianapolis. It's known, it's at this moment in time the oldest recorded purpose-built facility. It is the Brickyard. It is going to provide some interesting strategic racing over the next 90 minutes, but of course the battles are still far from over, because we've still got Road Atlanta and VIR to go, and this could be the point where we'll see whether true championship contenders will be front and center for our audience to watch.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Alex. It's coming into the home stretch here for the season, and we're at a track that, as James pointed out, it's loved and disliked by a variety of drivers throughout the field. I think overall, it's generally, it's okay. It's a bit flat for what it is. Lots of left-hand leaning, so it'll be interesting to see how drivers deal with that throughout the course of the race. As we saw in the real event, there was quite a bit where the teams were using hards on the left-hand side. I'm curious to see if they're going to do anything similar in strategy throughout this race, but right now looks like it's all mediums to go. So we'll get ready to go ahead and start. I'll hand it back to you, and we can go green.
Yeah, so it is going to be Troy Uyen and Daniel Kirby. Daniel Kirby, so often this season, James Parfit has been swapping cars like nobody's business. He even decided when we went to Belle Isle to go into GT3 and promptly got disqualified, but it should be a good battle at the front end of the field. Caddy versus Peugeot.
Yeah, it should be. I think be interested to see how he gets on in the 9X8.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are set and under starters' orders as the countdown continues to green here at the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway for round 9 out of 11. We go green for 90 minutes, and straight away Troy Uyen gets the whole shot he needs, starts pulling away from Daniel Kirby. Brian Hall rounds out the top 3 as the field makes its way into turns 1 and 2 for the opening time out of 90 minutes. And still, it's going to be mediums for the Hypercars, and the LMP2 cars class at the moment being led by Alec King. They're running on the softs, so it's a 3-driver crew in terms of the LMP2 field. But Ryan Paulbert Reyes will lead the GT3, the LMGT3 pros to green, with Alexander McQuarrie rounding out the leading the AM contingent. But looking at the Ferrari of a certain Mr. Alan Holden there, James. He was right with Ryan Paulbert Reyes going into that opening chicane, and got a good run on the brakes, didn't he?
Yeah, he definitely did. And I've got a funny feeling this could be quite a Porsche track. I think the way that the Porsche handles the corners and things like that, it hasn't got to worry too much about top end at this moment in time. You know, there's only one straight, and the one that they've just been on, that actually needs the full speed out of the car. And I think the thing is, at the moment, that they don't really need that now, and I'm expecting Paulbert Reyes to pull away quite quickly, to be honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's got quite a big lead, maybe sort of 2.5, 3 seconds by the time we get to sort of lap 4 or 5, because I think he should be able to pull away in that Porsche. But back up front, this is what's going on at the moment.
Oh, Daniel Kirby ran the outside of Troy Uyen through T1 and had opened up the steering a little bit there, so Troy Uyen had to keep out of harm's way. So Daniel Kirby trying to go through turns 3 and into 4, now into the sort of like the piff-paff chicane here at turns 5 and 6, and really starting to stretch the legs on that French Leviathan he's got under his control at the moment as they go down the back straightaway into turn 7. Brian Hall is starting to catch Troy Uyen in the meantime here, Ross, and Jerry Chen, that's his best qualifying performance all season long, and he's also trying to catch as well. Jerry's just gone and done purple in the opening sector. Daniel's gone and done purple in sector number 2, so Jerry Chen could really be fighting for an actual podium this time around.
Yeah, Jerry's been strong all season, and this is a track that, just like the GT3, the Porsche 963 is also going to be quite favored here. It's sort of those medium speed corners where you can really put the throttle down, the mix between aero and mechanical grip. It's going to really favor that 963. It's going to be a good one for the Peugeots too. They're able to use a little bit of that all-wheel drive, and this bit of a homecoming for Dan Kirby, who, even though he's sort of put himself out of championship points contention by doing the swapperoo for some of these cars, he is enjoying himself for sure. This 9X8 without the wing was a car of choice about 2 seasons back, so he's just kind of going in there and enjoying that for right now. As we see Jerry Chen going up through the field, I think he's going to close down Brian Hall. He's definitely got his legs under him. We'll see how he's able to hold on his tires throughout the stint.
Yeah, he's bringing along Johnny Gutierrez and Gilles Lalonde, the 2 teammates, in the multicoloured 9X8s, whereas a certain Mr. Dan Kirby has gone for the Knight Rider stealth look in the all-in-black, no livery, so to speak, but he's got a 2.7 second lead over Troy Uyen. At the moment, Adrian Rice is leading the Acura 048 in the Hypercar AM category, ahead of Norm Graffen, who's been piloting that Aston Martin Valkyrie all season long, James, and Norm seems to enjoy the challenge of this V12-powered British sports car.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people haven't taken it, to be honest. I think it's one of them sort of ones where if you can get to grips with it, I think you'll be all right, but it does look very tough. Like there, we had massive amounts of understeering, didn't really get the car rotated before going on to this start-finish straight, and it just looks a little bit of a handful, but it's almost like one of them where if you're a cowboy, you'd love the challenge of trying to calm the bucking beast that is the Valkyrie. You know, they ride bulls for a living. These guys ain't exactly wet melts that go and cry when they go and hurt a knee. You know what I mean? Footballers might want to learn a thing or two. But I think these guys, you know, calming this car would be absolutely amazing. But you know, Noel Graff's loving life at the moment. I think this is the thing with this. There's a couple of things in here that you can really notice with the NARS series. You know, Dan Kirby he swaps cars more often than I swap socks, and he has a good time in it. He doesn't care about the championship. He just goes out, he drives whatever car he wants, has a good time in the process, and that's the thing. And that's what you can get out of this series, is that they kind of all use this as like a practice series for the main VWSC on Saturdays. But it's just about having a good time, and I think the likes of Norm Graff loving the Valkyrie, you know, going out, having a good time in it, great. Ryan Paulbert Reyes, he's a Porsche man through and through. If you cut him open, there'll be a logo around the inside of him that says Porsche. You know, he's in it that often. The same with Alan Holden in the Ferrari. There'll be a prancing horse come out of his body or something. But it's all about just having a good time. And that's the thing. This is what these guys are doing. You know, I estimated that Paulbert Reyes, by about lap 4 or 5, would have a 2.5, 3 second gap. He's already got 1.3 and is going in the right direction where it should be. Alec King leading LMP2s. He is slowly opening in the gap from JT Tammy, and they've already dropped Michael Lock by about 4 seconds. But what is the interesting thing is a couple of laps ago when Dan Kirby made the move on Troy Uyan, Uyan did not have a good recovery lap. He could not get that power down in that car, and it was not in a good shape. So he lost even more time fighting with the car that he was trying to get power down for, because he wanted to try and keep up. And unfortunately, it went the other way, and he's lost about 3.5 seconds. But Jerry Chen, in that beautiful red machine, is starting to close in on Brian Hall, but he's also bringing Gutierrez with him. And by bringing Gutierrez is bringing Lalonde, and at the moment, it's a 3-car chase, and these guys are chasing down Brian Hall. So Hall's going to have to either defend at the moment, he's going to have to blitz his absolute butt off, or he's going to have to just try and make that car as wide as physically possible, within limits, of course.
Yeah, and also one of the other things I want to touch on is closing rate of speed, folks, because we are seeing these hypercars push down the start-finish straight and the back straightaway at around about 190 miles an hour, which is probably about 25 miles an hour quicker than the GT3 cars. Of course, we've had, Carl Strahal, I think, has ended up in pit lane. So he's had a bit of a drama in the early goings as the number 912 GT3. That is the 992 designation of the current GT3 generation from Porsche. Coming back to what you were saying about Ryan Paulbert Reyes, JP, I think if you opened up his nostrils, there'd be 2 little Porsche turbochargers in there as well, just to get that extra air induction in through into his lungs.
He literally just loves the Porsche, which is fine. You know, you stick with one car and it makes you an expert. You know, that's why I suck at driving, because I don't drive one car. I don't like driving one car. I like driving multiple different cars, just for the sake of it. Carl Sturrow has DNF'd. Now, there's no physical reason that I can see why he's DNF'd, but the fact he just drove into the pits, he parked it up and decided that he's going to put on his slippers and blanket, and he's had enough for tonight. That's about it. I can't see any other reason.
Well, in the meantime, Ross, Troy Uyan was 1.7 seconds behind Dan Kirby. Oh, now they've caught the back marker traffic, so Dan Kirby would have been compromised in the scheme of things. They've just got through on Tom Nacella. Dan Kirby's lead is now 1.1 seconds.
Just got it wrong,
he definitely got that wrong turn one. The back end stepped out to the left-hand side, and Troy Uyan is closing hand over fist. That gap is less than a second. I think maybe within the next lap or two, if Troy Uyan is able to use this back marker traffic to his advantage, as Dan Kirby has to fire his way through James Bowders and Stephen Miller. Now it's gone to the favour of Kirby again, because the back marker traffic has slightly got in the way of Troy Uyan, and that's the thing. It's about being that traffic whisperer, as we talked about the keys to the race earlier on.
Looking at the way that caddy caught right behind Stephen Miller. This is part of the keys to the race. You don't want to get caught behind any of the GT traffic as a hypercar going through there, or as an LMP2, just because it's such a slow spot for them to take. They really struggle through there, and the hypercars are able to carry just a little bit more speed. It's just fast enough. You're getting a tiny bit of aero on top of that mechanical grip, but you can see just how much Dan Kirby's now opening up that gap. It's back up to about 2.5 seconds at this point as it comes off. It's a little bit dicey through there as he's going around. I think that might have been Jacobs who's come back in. He's trailing behind Matthew Overton. So actually he's coming back from having a baby. So this is his first race after he's been on hiatus for a while. So good to see him again.
Oh, Lalonde's going to get caught. Yeah. Lalonde's going to get stuck. Oh, Gilles, he didn't make it through. They were all charging down past Stephen Miller. And Lalonde you could see him literally in that car like jumping in the seat, going, come on, I can do this. And unfortunately, he didn't do it and got stuck behind Stephen Miller. And they're going through turn 1 and 2. So he's going to have to set chase again after Mr. Gutierrez. But it's all going to get very, very interesting indeed here around this track at the moment. Uyan less than a second. Kirby, I'm sure, will open it back up once he gets fresh air in front of him there as well. So Dan Kirby, the thing is, most people would sit here and go, oh, he's closed in a second. I'm not even worried. I think Kirby, once he gets out in air, he's like, see you later, gone. Thanks, back out to 2.5, 3 seconds again. Because he is just that good in fresh air. You know, that GT3 is not going to help the situation. However, either, and number Paul Ibbotson. But I think for Dan Kirby, once he gets past the GT3s, he'll be gone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Ibbotson made a big mistake coming through turns 12 and 13 and actually went on the grass and kicked up the dirt. So Dan Kirby had to go into avoidance mode, but Troy Uyan is closing in on him. That gap is about 9.5, well, it's 8.5 to 9 tenths of a second. So now they've both got a little bit of clean air. This will showcase the power that the Cadillac has, but the 9X8 Evo has that, as you rightly said, Ross, a little bit earlier on, that four-wheel drive capability that once it gets over a certain speed, it accelerates the car forward and means that Dan Kirby gets maximum traction. Meantime, Brian Hall is being caught by Johnny Gutierrez, so there is a bona fide battle for P4. Look, Jerry Chen's got caught up in the back market traffic. They're going to make it 3 wide. Going into what is going to be turn 7, and it's a scramble between the Hypercars and also the GT3 traffic, because Johnny Gutierrez round the outside, and I think that might have been on Alexander McQuarrie or either Matthew Overton. That was a great move by Gutierrez. He's really using his nous here a bit, is the number 102.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ross, go on. I'll shush.
Fine. I wouldn't want to bet any of the cars in that situation, especially the GT3s. It's really dicey going right down into that heavy braking zone. And the GT3s are going to have just a little bit more braking prowess through there, as you'll see as the race kind of goes on. And the Hypercars are starting to wear their tires out, and they just have to get on the brakes a little bit sooner. Some of that will be offset by losing some of that race fuel, so it'll lighten the car a bit. But you'll be able to see a lot of that. As we were talking about Stephen Miller, you could see it going into turn 1, where James was talking about how Gilles Lalonde wanted to dive in there. If he'd been in another GT car, he probably could have done it on Stephen Miller, but you can see just how much that ABS is able to work to their advantage and just allow them to slip that further in on the trail braking.
Well, we've already had a message out in the YouTube world of comments. The out theirs goes, nah, Kirby is cooked. Well, he's 7 tenths of a second ahead of Troy Uyan. I mean, look, we're only, 13 minutes into this race. We got a yellow out in sector number 3. Oh, moment for Kirby and moment for Troy Uyan. They really are pushing the limits of adhesion in both cars.
Hold on, that's Alan Holden.
Oh, in the Ferrari, and that is going to be a punt.
Oh, both of them.
Oh, and that was Brian Hall and Johnny Gutierrez. Yeah. So it was Brian Hall that clattered into the rear left of Alan Holden. You're going to see it here. This is going to be going through into turn number 13. Hall dives up the inside. Bang. There's the contact. Gutierrez tries to go around the outside and flatters on the flashers, and then they make more contact coming out of 14. Yeah. Oh, dear. The Hypercars are getting a little bit feisty. Look, Gilles Lalonde has been brought right back into that battle.
Oh, yeah. They're not getting away. The thing is, why they're doing this, you know, Jerry Chan, Gilles Lalonde, Gutierrez, it gives Troy Uyan that gap he needs, but the man who's lost out of all that is this man, Mr. Brian Hall. He's dropped down behind Adrian Rice at the moment, and that is due to the fact that after all of this ta-ta-ta that was going on, this went on in turn 1.
Oh, he's going to dive bomb up the inside, and he's going to go deep. Oh, he spins it, and then gets a tag from Gutierrez for extra measure as well. But Gutierrez had nowhere to go on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not quite sure how we would look at that and go, oh, it's Gutierrez's fault. He dived him from miles away, missed the apex. Gutierrez turned, and I'm guessing he kind of wasn't expecting him to be there. And you can't really blame Johnny for that one and say, oh, yeah, it's Johnny's fault, because he didn't you know, he can't do anything about it. Once he's in the middle of the track, where's he supposed to go? But poor old Brian always going to have to go back through and battle again. And that's about it here, what's going on at the moment. Down in the GT3s, Matty Overton. I haven't seen much of Matt this season, bless him. He's had a bit of a rotten one, I'll tell you that much, unfortunately for him. But he's chasing down Mr. Eric Jacobs there as well. Jacobs' car does look very lovely in that sort of fluorescent, sort of, what is that, teal?
It's like a cyan blue, a bit like Tron.
Yeah, maybe.
You can't exactly, you know, if you had a Google Maps showing down on Indianapolis Motor Speedway right now through R-Factor 2, you definitely could make out Eric Jacobs' car quite easily. But I think one of the big things is that, gents, we're not that far away from the first set of pit stops for the hypercars, because for the stints we're looking at 20 to 24 minutes. We're 5 minutes away from probably when we might see the first couple of cars dive into pit lane from the hypercar division.
Go on, Ross, I was waiting for your input on that one. You're a driver, dear sir. You know more about it than I do, so I was waiting for you on that one.
Over to you, Mr. Ross Smith.
Yeah, no, they'll be in here about around 20 or 22 minutes. I was thinking actually about how we were watching Indianapolis, the actual race that was taking place, and how there was a little bit of a look here. Wow, yeah, he's going to be able to hold. Jerry didn't put up too much of a fight on that. It's not over yet. That's and both of them could be in the other room.
Get him, Jerry, get him.
But Gilles had the elbows out on that one. A little bit of a hip check with the left rear of Gilles' Peugeot. But Johnny's coming back into this fight now as well. He's going to slingshot down the back straightaway from 6 into 7. Now, is Gutierrez going to go for a lunge? Not quite. He's not quite close enough at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good go, though. I think it's not going to be long. But the thing is, like, we're still quite early on into the race. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I would sit back and say they don't really need to do this, but hey, that's motor racing, right? Do it, crack on, have a good old ding-dong while you're in the process of it, and enjoy yourself. And Jerry at the moment is really putting himself between these X8s. So he's like showing them that, look, you're not getting this your own way here, fellas. Like, I'm coming at you here, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be a pain in the bum. And that's exactly what Jerry's doing. And fair play to him. But you know, it's kind of that saying of his swings in roundabouts. They're having great fights, they're enjoying themselves, but Troy Huyan's escaping. Like, you know, so what do you do? So we'll see how they, what they decide after that. You know, it's about knowing your battles, and if your battle's not with Troy Huyan, not with Dan Kirby, and it is with Lalonde Gutierrez, get the gloves on, son. Have a good old scrap.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely agree with that on that front with you, JP. I think it's just a case of, you know, the first 25, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, is going to be when we see the race start to settle down. But the way that these hypercars have been going at it like hammer and tongs, I think it's going to be a very, very close race. But I think Johnny Gutierrez, for doing the old slim shady round the outside overtakes, I think he's done the most of the evening so far.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And this is why, although I'm not a lover of this track, and I've documented that numerous amounts of times, to be honest with you, but when they're racing multi-class like this, it kind of makes it a little bit more exciting. And this is why this series, this specific NARS series, is so good, because when we go into VIR and places like that, it's going to be even more interesting and even more exciting. You know, I can go for another Alec King Laguna Seca heart attack moment while he was going through traffic like I did last season. And that's why this is so exciting. And this is why this isn't going to ease up. This is going to be like this for the whole time of this race, for the next hour and a bit that we've got going on. And it's going to be one of them where we're going to keep trying to catch every little bit like that.
Oh yeah. That was nearly a heart of the mouth moment for Johnny Gutierrez and Jerry Chen, and whoever they were trying to get through on. Was that possibly? Was that one of the Aston Martins, or no? That was Tom Nacella, possibly.
Yeah, it was the Mustang, wasn't it? I believe it is Nacella down there, further down as well. Oh, in the meantime, Matty Overton's managed to clear Eric Jacobs. Not quite sure what went on there, but they've managed to get the overtake done. So fair play to Matty, move himself forward. Good job there, fella, while we're focusing on this hypercar battle. At the same time, King still leading LMP2s, pulled away for JT Tummy, 4.5 seconds. Brian Paulbert Reyes, there we go, leading the GT3 Pros. And he's still doing a stunning job in the process there as well. So, yeah, Reyes now 11 seconds ahead of Holden already.
Oh, we've got another yellow out in Sector 3 that has just been retracted. I'm sure we're going to have a Champion Sim Racing replay coming up very shortly. Here it is on cue. And it is going to be Alan Holden in the number 25 Ferrari. This is, he's gone straight line, bumped over the curbs, hit the grass.
That's not the only one. John Mayer was the cause of the yellow due to that.
Oh, well, we did say early throttle out of corners, but that was a bit too early, and he decides to do some donuts in the kitty litter for good measure on the infield by turn 13.
Yeah, not an ideal way there, Ross, of dealing with that.
No, I'm kind of curious about that. It's an unusual thing for Mayer, but then again, for
Jacobs,
boy, that's a dive.
Kirby! Oh my God!
Good catch. He couldn't take the Batmobile down.
Jesus, Kirby nearly ended up sideways there due to Mr. Eric Jacobs, who just absolutely sent it on Matty Overton there as well. Also, the lead swap, Troy Ian's got in front of Dan Kirby.
And Alan Holden has just gone down pit lane as well whilst we speak about it. So Troy Uyan leads the way. Dan Kirby nearly got yeeted into the shadow realm just then. That was very, very close. Another yellow out in Sector 3. That's probably going to be turns 12 to 14.
I'm only going to show this once, but I'm not going to compound this young man's misery. Seems like Brian Hall has gone from one thing to another at this moment in time. And unfortunately, did that. Watch the car behind. John Mayer also has his own little drama coming down here as well. So unfortunately, there's a couple of people who are starting to lose their cars a little bit, Mayer and Hall being one of them. So I won't compound their misery much longer. They continue to have multiple off track. So there we go. However, I do want to look at this one because Johnny Gutierrez giving Jerry Chen a right old little fight.
Yeah, keeping him very, very honest as the 102 from Bad Day Racing. So at the moment, Troy Uyan leading, Dan Kirby. Kirby's now closed the gap.
He's going to go. Stephen Miller is being somewhat of a pain in the rear end, should we say. And poor old Gilles Lalonde nearly just lost that car and is led to 3 wide almost.
Oh dear, right, it's the 2 Bad Day Racing Peugeots versus the 963. Gutierrez, how did you get round there at turn 12? You nearly got punted by your teammate. Gordon Bennett, that was a close one.
Do you know what, though? I think Gilles actually let that happen. Like, you can see him on that inside line, and you can see him sort of slowly lift up a little bit and bring that X8 back to allow Gutierrez to take the line, because let's be real, if it was me in the car or Ross in the car, we would have hit each other. You know what I mean? Because we ain't that clever. You know, and I think Gilles Lalonde purposely lifted off. No offence, Ross, but, you know, we're just not, mate. And he lifted off and allowed Gutierrez to take his line. So fair play to them too.
We would have hit each other, yeah.
We would have done, mate. I would have punted you off into the shadow realm. I wouldn't have had the force to lift it or anything like that.
Yeah, and then Ross would have been complaining, saying, in the words of Jimmy Broadbent, please no Punterino. But again, Gutierrez, down this back straightaway, has got a big old toe from Jerry Chen into turn 7, now into the right at 8, and then into the short left into turn 9. That Peugeot really is hooked up in the twisty stuff, but also the ability, the agility of that Porsche 963 is keeping Jerry Chen ahead as they're going to get through on both Overton and Jacobs. And that's going to be very close going into turn 12. Johnny Gutierrez round the outside of Matthew Overton, gets through, stays on the back bumper of Jerry Chen as he goes over the grass. Gutierrez does exactly the same thing round the outside. He goes through turn number 14 as Gilles Lalonde pulls it into pit lane. Troy Uyan now comes in from the race lead. So these hypercars are really starting to struggle. You said about tyre degradation, Ross, and we have seen a couple of moments. I mean, obviously with one of the Cadillacs, John, I think it was, who was it? It was John Mayer. Then we also had Brian Hall, who's all the way down in 13th, and he's now in pit lane. But it seems like the Peugeots are able to keep their tyres, as is the 963, for that little bit longer. This could be the key to the strategy for these drivers, but it's 3 wide. 3 wide, and Gutierrez mugs Chen.
Fired up the inside. Yeah, I think that was always going to happen. I was about to make a comment on how Jerry Chen, who's typically down in the AMs on the VWSC series, he's up there fighting with Johnny Gutierrez, who is certainly not a mid-packer. I mean, he finds himself up in the top 3, usually battling in almost any race that he's in. So, you know, props to Jerry Chen for just really showing off the kind of prowess that he's been able to put together. You know, really good at putting setups in. He's on the storm getting simulation and testing team, definitely a head tester, and really able to bring it in as he's bringing it into the pits now. But very cool to see those guys battling it out, and you know, fair play to both of them being able to stay off of those lap cars, the GTs as they're going through. Taking a look at Norm Graff here, he's got a long distance to catch up on Adrian Rice.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He's just got held up behind Paulbert Reyes. That gap was less than half a second between Adrian Rice and Norm Graff. Unfortunately, Rice cleared Paulbert Reyes going into turn 1. Norm Graff didn't clear Paulbert Reyes going into turn 1. Hence the gap's come back out, and Norm's been held up there as well. So the gap had come down to literally half a second, but unfortunately, just as I got there, he got held up behind Paulbert Reyes, and now the gap's gone back out. So poor old Norm Graff is going to have to go about and try it all again. Grid's all a little bit mixed up at this moment in time. If we bring you up all the full grid currently, we've got Alec King in the LMP2 sitting in 3rd, JT Tammy in 4th, Michael Locke in 7th, Adrian Rice 9th, but Gilles Lalonde, Jerry Chen, Troy Yuan have all been in pit lane and have obviously moved down the order, because that's how it works when you stop a car on a racetrack. People will overtake you, and that's why they're all mixed up at this moment in time. But yeah, good job from everybody at this moment. No DNFs apart from Tom Nacella, Carl Strawhall. As I said, not sure what he did. He drove in pit lane, and that was the end of it. There was no incident, nothing drama, no, he just, I don't know. He just decided that enough for tonight. Not a lot going on in the GT3s, everything's fairly spread out. Eric Jacobs, however, is about a second back from Matty Overton still. These two are stuck together like Velcro, and they're not leaving each other alone. Or that's the closest battle in GT3s currently at this moment in time. Everything in hypercars and LMP2s wildly spread out, but the pit stops have just had a massive part.
Yeah, and also the big thing is, well, JT Tammy's just pitted from LMP2. Daniel Kirby has opted to stay out, and more to the point, we're getting close to 27 minutes of this race completed, so we're nearly a third of the way through this 9th round out of 11. We've got Road Atlanta in the VIR, but Eric Jacobs touched the gravel and he's backwards. Oh dear, that's not what he wanted. I mean, he's been trying to knock off the ring rust here, Ross, but that was just an uncharacteristic error from Eric, but it can happen at that point in the circuit.
Yeah, I'm trying to find him on the listing here. It doesn't look like he's been in for a pit stop yet. It is a bit early, although we saw Alan Holden go in, but I think he was taking care of some damage or an issue that he was having with his car. So yeah, I think he's starting to feel the effects of the tires, and I know that Eric was a vocal proponent of, you know, the tires were for the GTs in particular are a little bit difficult to get a handle on. They do tend to heat up, and you do have to manage the heat dead quite a bit on top of being able to manage just the wear and tear on them. But I think you know, he's been away. He's been a dad for the last 3 months, so you know, he's got a little bit of work to do. Nice 3-way split there around the the front stretch there. Troy Yuan going around with Brian Hall on the inside as Dan Kirby's coming out.
Yeah, he's going to start in front of Yuan by quite a while as well, quite a way. And Troy Yuan did not have a good few laps coming out of pit lane, unfortunately for him. Got stuck in traffic and literally has unfortunately lost about 4.5, maybe 5 seconds. The D out of there, now Kirby is cooked. I think you might be wrong, dear sir. No offense, it happens. So Troy Yuan doing a great job currently, but he's unfortunately lost a lot of time in that pit cycle after having a poor couple of outlaps.
Yeah, that's always the thing. It's always about getting, you know, if you change the tyres on the cars, and obviously we are not seeing any of the hypercars here, Ross, switch to the hard compound tyre, which, you know, would have that little bit of ability for the drivers to keep them for that little bit longer.
No.
But with the way that this circuit is, it can be. Oh, right, okay. Replay coming up now, and this is going to be Alan Holden, I believe. No, it's the 174.
Right behind the
Matthew
building.
Overton.
Who stopped that building there?
Oh, and was now? Did I see there is some damage to the right front corner of that Aston Martin as well? So Matthew's taken the Indianapolis Joker lap here, gents.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm trying to see, but it's really hard. Oh, that might be better. There we go. That happens. Did he get a tap? No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Not the
Lazy
greatest
slide.
camera angle, but unfortunately there's a building in the way when I go to normal. And then poor old Matty goes and does that. So, yeah. But that would bring Eric Jacobs nicely back into the fix. And as a spake like that, there they are. They're about 6 steps apart again. So Eric sliding once, Matty sliding once, and now they're back together like Velcro. I've got a funny feeling these guys are not going to leave each other alone for the rest of the race, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as we now are about to hit the 1/3 of the timer counting down, as Eric Jacobs keeps out of the way of Johnny Gutierrez in the 102 Peugeot 9X8 Evo. So at the moment, Dan Kirby leads Hypercar. It's going to be Adrian Rice, who's currently running 6th overall in the number 48 Acura ARX06. Leading that class. Alec King rounding out the top 10, leading LMP2 ahead of JT Tammy by about 3 seconds. Ryan Paulbert Ray is leading GT3 overall and is leading quite a way ahead of a certain Mr. Matthew Overton, 33.8 seconds. And at the moment, Paul Ibbotson, good to see that man. He's leading the way ahead of Max Sunderlap in the LMGT3 AM battle. Of course, Paul is a man that we've kept our eyes on this season, Ross, and he's also had some dramas. I think, if I remember correctly, his engine blew on his car one particular time this year.
Yeah, uncharacteristic. Although Paul Ibbotson is, he's another driver who, over time, we haven't really seen it so much within this year. But ever since I started a couple years back, he was working his way up through the ranks, and it's really great to see that he's been able to manage a really strong consistency. Dug in, he learned a whole lot about the different cars, the different driving styles, and everything. And he's really managed to prove himself as a stalwart within the community. I mean, he's showing #1 on the Pro-Am side, or sorry, on the AM side of the grid. But if you look at his overall position, he's actually doing pretty well. I mean, he's right on up there. Right now he's sitting 2nd actually overall for the GT field. So he definitely has quite the prowess. He will have a couple brain farts here or there when he's jet setting and taking vacations in between some races, but he doesn't mess around. He knows how to get it done, and he knows how to put the consistent laps down. So props to him, and just showing what a lot of hard work can do to a driver.
And also, James, we have to look at the man who's trying to chase him down about 3 seconds back, the Aston Martin of Max Sunderlap in the 61. I mean, Max also had his fair share of dramas this season as well, isn't he? Currently rounding out the top 3, and he's actually a point behind Alexander McQuarrie as things stand in the AM standings, but is still quite a way ahead, 29 points behind Stephen Miller, who is also not here this evening. So there's going to be a little bit of switching around in the LMGT3 AM standings come the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the thing. If Matt can stay ahead of Alex, that will be one step in the right direction. Poor old Mac, of course, DNF'd in the first race, didn't make the second race. There's only scored points in the next 5 or 6 races after. So it's imperative that he does get points on the board, and staying ahead of Alexander McQuarrie is one of them. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how Matt gets on and whether or not they can get Paul Ibbotson.
Yeah, so we are past 30 minutes of this race completed. We're down to 57.5 minutes to go. And yeah, I think now we're getting into that point, gentlemen, where the race is going to be stabilised in some respects, but we're still going to see some close battles, but more to the point that I'm wondering to see how Johnny Gutierrez is going to try and close that gap to Troy Uyen, who, James, as you rightly said, had a shocking couple of outlaps after his pit stop. Yeah,
absolutely. I to be honest with you, as much as I love Gutierrez in that 9X8, I don't think he's going to. About 20 seconds plus back at this moment in time, and it's going to be very, very tough for him to close in on him there as well. It's more likely Jerry Chen who's going to be trying to do the chasing. You see Jerry just in the background there once again. Poor old Brian Hall was at a stinker. He's a lap down on the leaders in his hypercar and is now trying to get JT Tammy in the LMP2, believe it or not. It's for Brian Hall down in 12th place. So, yeah, a couple of bad time for Brian Hall there. He had 2 spins that we saw. But, yeah, I don't think Gutierrez is going to get there. I think, however, Jerry Chen might lead the charge and is about 3.5 seconds back. Gilles Lalonde's 2.5 seconds back. We're all getting very spread out. The pit stop cycles has not been nice to some people And unfortunately, the cars are very spread, and that is not just across GT 11Ps at the moment as well, across GTs at the same time. But Matty Overton is in pit lane, and funny enough, he's in pit lane with Eric Jacobs. And so they're going in together, they're going to come out together, they're probably going to go on a date together after this, because they've been that close to each other as it is throughout the race.
Romance engaged here at Indianapolis between these two at the moment, as they are in pit lane, as we're going to see the GT3s and the GT3 AMs cycle through their first of 2 pit stops, it will look like, here at Indianapolis. But you know, when you think about our leader at the moment in the LM GT3s, Ryan Paulbert Reyes, you know, first 4 races, 3 wins out of 4 Ross. Then he has a couple of seconds at Watkins Glen, and then Mosport, and then comes back with a vengeance at Road America. Obviously,
Ooh,
Detroit let him down. But
sorry, Alex, 2 seconds. Jacobs is out a long way ahead of Matty Overton. Overton's still not even moving. Wow. I wonder if he's getting that damage done on that front of that car. Now he's off. But he's a long way behind Jacobs now. Poor old Matty. It was such a good race, and now, unfortunately, it's all gone Pete Tong in the pit stops there either. So there we go. Anyway, carry on, dear sir.
yeah, I mean, you know, Ryan, as I was saying, Ross, LMGT3s, you know, Ryan Paulbert Reyes, 4 victories this season. We've had 2 other winners as well. We've had James Walker, who's not here tonight. Alan Holden has had 3 seconds, one at the opening round of the season, and then obviously at Long Beach. So when we went to Daytona, Long Beach, then he had another 2nd place finish at Road America. I mean, the car really showed its worth at Detroit. But here at Indianapolis, I mean, Alan Holden's had an absolute shocker, isn't he?
Yeah, that was really tough to see in the beginning. You know, he just ended up getting caught up in that hypercar battle, and it was really no fault of his own. He just he got winged, and then it was downhill from there. And it's a real shame, because I feel like he does have quite a bit. He does have his own win. He's got a few 2nd place finishes behind him, and so, I mean, he can be a contender. He can get up there. I feel like he's just kind of had a bad run of luck in a lot of cases. You know, he's just, again, no fault of his own. He's just been caught up in so many different things. But he really should be up there fighting between Reyes and Walker, and just kind of putting it to them for an overall win. But yeah, I would like to see him, you know, coming into the next season, and certainly with the last couple races here after this one. You know, we go to Road Atlanta and VIR, so I think that those tracks will be okay for the 296. I think that they should suit it pretty well, especially with some of the long straights and whatnot, as long as you can get the tuning in, and you know, maybe take advantage of some of the, you know, maybe a little bit of bad luck for Reyes, and if Walker misses again, you know, be able to do a little bit to improve his position.
Yeah, I mean, JP, you've got to go to the LMGT3 AM battle. You know, when you've got Stephen Miller currently rounding out the top 3, Alexander McQuarrie in P2, then you've got Max Sunderlap all the way down in 5th in the classification at the moment. You know, Sunderlap would want to beat McQuarrie out on track to get ahead of him to be 2nd in the standings. But Stephen Miller, if he gets a really, really good result tonight, then he's going to be a tough cookie to beat at the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to see where Mac is going to come out in conjunction with Ibbetson's just leaving pit lane now. There, Mac's going to, is he going to get him down into turn? This is going to be close as anything.
Oh, this is going to be really close, yeah. I think Ibbetson's just ahead by about, oh, not even that. Look at the rate of speed that Max Sunderlap had coming through into turn 1. He's had to open up the steering to avoid contact with the 165 Porsche. He's going to dive to the inside. Oh, that was nearly left front to right rear contact between the pair as they made their way through the opening couple of corners, and now they're going to go on to the back. Now look, Sunderlap's got a good run. Obviously, Ibbetson, if he's changed tyres, they are going to be cold, so are the brakes, and Sunderlap uses the slipstream down the backstretch, out of 6 into 7. He's now up into 2nd place. Yeah. Good work there by Sunderlap.
Great job from him there as well. I'm not quite sure where Olivier Cavaz is coming into all of this, but he's leading, and I don't think he's pitted yet. In that does he pit?
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. So that's why he's out in front. But at the moment, Max, the overall leader, here with Ibbetson, who's just got very, very close. The GT3 AMS has just got hotter than
Oh, who was that just went off in one of the caddies?
John Mayer.
Oh, and that's dropped in behind Norm Graff in the AM hypercar, the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And here comes Norm with a full rate of speed down the start-finish straight, through on Ibbotson and Sunthornlap. And now Ibbotson's going to get the toe down the start-finish stretch into turns 1 and 2. And Ibbotson's going to dive to the inside. Flame spitting from the exhaust pipes on the side of that Aston Martin, and he keeps ahead for the moment. So Sunthornlap making that rear wing as wide as an 18-wheeler articulated lorry to hold on to that second position. I'm also seeing here that, looking down the order, Alexander McQuarrie, according to my timing, has not had a pit stop, or has he?
I think he has. I think he has.
Yeah.
That's why he's dropped back so far.
But again, just seeing this back marker, you know, seeing there's Alec King trying to go around the outside of Max Sunthornlap, and that was going through into turn 9. And there's JT Tammy trying to get back onto sparring duels with regards to Alec King, but 50 minutes to go. I mean, it has actually been quite an interesting and rather exciting first 40 minutes of this race, gents.
Yeah, for sure. And we haven't been paying too much attention to that LMP2 battle, but just as we saw, they kind of floated across our field of view, and now it's like, oh, wait, yeah, game back on for this one. I don't know if Alec King maybe had run into traffic, or JT Tammy just really started putting the screws to him. I mean, it's opened up a little bit after that incident with the traffic, but before, you know, when we were looking at the beginning of the race,
Ibbotson.
Good dive by Ibbotson. Wow, that was deep. Such confidence on the tires and the brakes through there.
Yeah, that was the Danny Rick lick the stamp and send it from Paul Ibbotson, who now retakes the race lead in the LMGT3 AM class, being caught by overall race leader Dan Kirby once again. But this is actually not only the battle for P1 in the AM GT3 classification. There's Sunthornlap. Oh, Kirby makes it 3 wide. Sunthornlap using the pure power of that Aston Martin twin-turbo 4-litre V8. He's going to dive to the inside if he can at turn 7. And they're going to be wheel-to-wheel through into 8. Ibbotson got the inside line, but it's going to open up the door through 9, and Sunthornlap gets through, catches the grass. Oh, and Ibbotson back up the inside of him through into 10. They've got a couple of hypercars with them as well. Yeah, Troy Uyen, who's trying to catch up to Dan Kirby, and still Ibbotson and Sunthornlap have done really, really well to negotiate their way with regards to the GT3 or the hypercar traffic. Trying to catch up to them, and that is Alan Holden, who's still on that recovery, still all the way down in 23rd position according to the live timing, 5 laps down off of the race leaders overall. But this is a great battle between Ibbotson and Sunthornlap for the LMGT3 AM class lead and for second in the GT3s overall. I think this is not going to die away much, because if Sunthornlap can use that pure horsepower from that Aston Martin, it's going to give him a little bit of an advantage in the straight line side of things. But Ibbotson, with that Porsche, with that rear engine configuration on that car, is going to be a lot more agile in the twisty stuff.
Yeah, that's what we said at the beginning, and I think it's not going to change throughout this. I think Ibbotson's going to, you know, open up a little bit of a gap there, and poor old Max going to have to try and close him down as much as he can. He's going to have to try and get the braking sorted out in that Aston Martin, you know, give it a little bit earlier, get it rotated to be able to get the coming out of the corners over Ibbotson. So this battle is going to keep raging on here, and it's going to be very, very exciting indeed for both of these guys. It'd be interesting to see if Ibbotson can hold on to this. You know, Paul Reyes is miles ahead of these, but this is a battle for the overall podium of the GT3s. So it's the lead in the GT3 AMs, the overall second and third podium in GT3s altogether.
Yeah. I think, well, we are getting, again, very, very close. We've got a yellow out in Sector 2 for the briefest of moments there. We've mainly had yellows out in Sector 3. But still, Troy Uyen is trying to close that gap to Dan Kirby. Ross, that's come down to about 2.5 seconds now between the two leaders overall. Here comes the Champion Motorsports replay. This is going to be Tom Nacella. Oh, that's into turn 7. That's not going to work, as the Mustang decides to take the joker lap there and kicks up the dust and the grass in the meantime whilst mowing it with a front splitter. Again, Kirby is just, at the moment, just trying to be that, as we said, the keys to the race, be a traffic whisperer. And Kirby, because he's got that advantage over Uyen, Uyen's having to fight every single step of the way to get the win here tonight in Indianapolis.
Yeah, like you mentioned, he's and we saw in that shot that Kirby was starting to go through a little bit of traffic. I was looking up at the track map just to kind of see what kind of drivers he was around. So that did manage to close it down. I think you're just going to see a little bit of that seesaw effect where he'll just get behind a few cars here and there. He'll start to close it up. Troy Uyan knows how to play the field. I think he's going to see that gap probably continue to open up, and he's just got to stay as consistent as he has been and just try and close as much as he can whenever Kirby gets caught up behind, because I think that's going to be his only real true shot at being able to get to Dan and make any kind of move for the end of the race. Because I think that Kirby's got just a little bit more pace than that 9X8. Like I said, he's got experience in that all-wheel drive car. He knows how to really put it to work and you know, take advantage of its strengths, especially around a course like this. So yeah, Troy's just got to stay consistent, you know, look for advantages and look for that opportunity whenever he possibly can and just jump on it.
Yeah, I think also what's quite interesting with regards to how things will look after this race, if they stay as they are, as we have pretty much hit half time. So we've got 45 minutes to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for round 9 of 11 for the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship, a chapter of Champion Motorsports. From this perspective, in terms of the LMGT3 AM standings here, JP, Max Sunderland would go 2 points ahead of Alexander McQuarrie, and Paul Ibbotson would put himself on quite a few points more than David Anderson, who's not here tonight in the LMGT3 AMs, putting the Vice Racing Porsche up into P4 in the driver's standings. So Stephen Miller at the moment is looking rather good. I mean, even though if he finishes in 4th position, that'll give him 197 points come the end of this race.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting going into the last 2 rounds, of course, and as we watch Jerry Chen close right up on Gutierrez there, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys go. Gilles Lalonde also not too far back. You just see him in the background there with Eric Jacobs once again. Oh, hello. Oh, come back, it's fine. So these guys are getting back close together as well. But these, I think this is the thing, some of these championship battles, we're going to sit here and say, right, he's ahead of him, he's ahead of him. And then we go to Road Atlanta, and that's a different perspective altogether. And that's going to change it all once more, because there's more places where it could go wrong. At Road Atlanta, don't forget, you know, you've got turn 5, you've got traffic up through 2, 3, down the hill. So it's a completely different makeup of track compared to this one. So anything could happen, and I don't think we're really going to be knowing where the championship is at until we get to the final round, and that's just how good it's been this season, where everybody's still close together.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the hypercar side of things, Ross, if Kirby takes what will be effectively his 5th win of the season, that'll extend his lead over Troy Uyan to, it's 3 points at the moment, it'll be 7 heading into Road Atlanta, but that still is going to be rather interesting. I think one of the big things that we are missing tonight is Ben Kesby, who was on 155 points coming to this round. Ben's had 3 wins this season, Troy's had 1 win this season, and Daniel's had 4, so 3 different winners. But again, look, Gilles Lalonde trying to close in on Jerry Chen, as Gutierrez now finds himself 36.8 seconds behind Dan Kirby, as Troy Uyan pits now into P4. So this squabble here, this is effectively for the final step on the rostrum in the Hypercar Pro Division. And I have to say, the Bad Day Racing duo of Lalonde in 4th and Gutierrez in 2nd, they're really having a good, solid run here at Indy.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd want to be a Jerry Chen in that Peugeot sandwich, especially when you've got the leaders of the GT3 AMs going at it. You want to be respectful. Jerry certainly is. Oh, boy.
Oh, contact! That was with Ibbotson.
That was exactly. And Jerry, you know, he's a very respectful racer. I mean, he's also, like I said before, he's on the testing team. He knows all the cars inside and out, you know, not just the ones that he's racing, but the ones he's racing against. He knows their strengths, weaknesses, like where they're going to be. He's very good at reading traffic patterns. So, yeah, he definitely didn't want to do that. He's just trying to, you know, fight those around him. But he's doing a really great job keeping the 9X8s. Exactly like you said, they've really turned it on at this track. They've been able to take advantage. And, you know, on first blush, you wouldn't think that those 9X8s would be quite as good as they are around here, but it does say something about how much the development has been going on with those cars, not just in the background, but also what they've been able to do with setups and whatnot to just really be able to extract as much as they can out of them. Because, I mean, this is a very flat track with the long, fast corners for the most part, you know, without much to really help them as far as downforce or anything. So they're really doing a great job being able to showcase that car's strengths.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, both Johnny and Gilles have had a second place finish. Funnily enough, Johnny finished second at Daytona, and at Long Beach, Gilles finished second. I mean, Johnny has, in the finishes that he's had, at Daytona, second, Sebring, fourth at Watkins Glen, fourth at Mosport, and also last time out at Road America. Oh, but Paul Ibbotson! Oh, the Vice Racing Porsche's got around. And that has really, really put paid to what was a great battle between him and Max Sunderlap. And Max Sunderlap is now away and clear by well over what is going to be 6 seconds as Norm Graff hits the Aston Martin Valkyrie Hypercar AM into pit lane at the same time as Adrian Rice. Lanny Hall is also in pit lane. So is John Mayer in the number 88 caddy for the Hypercar Pro class. But this battle here between Gutierrez, Chen and Lalonde, JP, I think is going to be carrying on quite significantly with Chen and Lalonde. They cover each other off here in the pit stop phase.
Yeah, Gutierrez doesn't go in. He's going to carry on there as well. So it's going to mix it all up once more. Lanny Hall also in pit lane currently at this moment in time as well with Adrian Rice. So that puts the 3 LMP2s back into 5th, 6th and 7th overall. So, yeah, it's going to mix it up once again here in the pit stop cycle as well. GT3's now settled down, and that's it. Unfortunately, Paul Ibbotson, 9.5 seconds back, currently away from Max Sunderlap. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's sort of petered out a little bit, but I'm sure they'll still come back together as we're sitting here with about 39 minutes remaining.
Yeah, which will probably more than likely mean that there'll be one more set of pit stops for both GT3s, LMP2s, and also the Hypercars, which could be anywhere between the 3 to a 4 stop strategy. And we have had it before, Ross, where Hypercar drivers have come in and they've accidentally mistimed the amount of fuel that they're going to put in the car and have short fueled by mistake, and have had to do a splash and dash in the final few minutes of the race.
Or if you're Norm Graff, just run out on the last lap. But poor Norm. But yeah, you're exactly right. Now, it's interesting. I was just thinking about this, the way that these races run at about an hour and a half. It does kind of create some interesting windows for these cars, because for the GT3s, they're just a little bit over half an hour. So depending on how they're able to run the cars, you know, the type of track, the nature of their race and everything, you're able to do a little bit of fuel saving here and there. And so you can definitely put that into the bank and use that later on. So maybe you decide you're going to short fill for your last stop, or maybe you, as we see, maybe not going, or maybe you do a little bit of an undercut on your middle stint and try and beat out some of the traffic that you're having to deal with. So and it's not just for the GT3s, it's for the LMP2s and for the Hypercars too. They all have these just little bits of offsets here and there where, you know, you're not exactly having to just, you know, eke out the last little drop of fuel. Like, if you can save a little bit, it can give you a little bit of wiggle room, so that way you can tweak that strategy, maybe separate yourself away from the pack and get a bit of a jump on them.
Yeah, very, very true. As we're 37.5 minutes away from the checkered flag, Paul Ibbotson has, through that spin, lost a significant amount of time in that respect. 10.8 seconds is now the gap between him and Max Sunderlap, who now leads the LMGT3 AM classification, and he in turn is 33 seconds behind overall LMGT3 leader Ryan Pulbert Reyes in the number 12 992 GT3 Porsche. There's Troy Uyen now trying to close in and chase down Johnny Gutierrez in the 102 Bad Day Racing Peugeot 9X8 Evo. And with the lead that Dan Kirby has now got, JP, Troy Uyen's got to do a little bit of damage limitation, because when you think about it, okay, yes, he won last time out at Road America. Kirby was second. I think really Troy's just got to do, got to keep that consistency level up. I mean, you look at it from this point, the lowest finish he had was Watkins Glen, where he placed fifth. He had a fourth at Daytona, then he had 2 seconds, two thirds, then the fifth at Watkins Glen, second at Mosport, and then one at Road America. So the ebb and flow between the top two and the hypercar is going to go right down to the death. I think it's going to go right down to VIR when we have that race in the latter part of November to close out the season.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. This was why it makes the championship so competitive as it is. And I think it's going to be, as I said earlier on, I don't think we're going to know really until Road Atlanta what we're heading into for the final round, because I think this race has kind of jumbled things up a bit. Kirby out in front of Uyan by 44 seconds. Now that to me would say that Kirby's not been in pit lane, because he hasn't opened that up on track. And I don't think Uyan's had that much of a horrible one that warrant losing 40 odd seconds. So I've got a funny feeling Kirby's got a pit stop to come, but this isn't helping his situation. He could really probably do with a clear track to be able to open that up, as Nacella is off the side of the circuit. He's had a bit of a horrible one in that Lexus, and I don't want to compound that young man's misery anymore.
No, that was Gervais, I think it was. The Nacella's in the Mustang, isn't he? So,
yes, Gervais.
Yeah. No, so Gervais having a little bit of an off-track excursion there, but he was trying to keep out of the way of fast oncoming traffic. I did say about the closing rate of speeds, and highest speed I've seen so far, 308 kilometers an hour from Brian Hall and from Troy Uyan. That is very, very close to 195, 196 miles an hour, converting it. So Dan Kirby has a lead of 42.6 seconds. Troy Uyan now past Gutierrez, who has come into pit lane for his second pit stop. So it looks like the hypercars at the moment, as we're going to see around the outside here. Gilles Lalonde taking a leaf out of the page, and a page out of the book for Johnny Gutierrez, and throwing it around the outside at turn one on Jerry Chen. That was a great move there, Ross, from Gilles, who, again, like we said, we have seen improvements from the Bad Day Racing duo, and here at Indianapolis, it just seems like it suddenly clicked all of a sudden, and now they are really showing that they are in contention for genuine podiums all season long, and I'm wondering what's going to be the case when we return in 2026 for this championship and they're back in the same vehicles.
Yeah, Gilles is certainly no slouch, and he's not afraid to use his track position. Although Jerry's coming back out of, Jerry is always the patient one. He's sort of the time maker. He's just kind of keeping track of things, trying to be Mr. Consistent, and he's going to look for Gilles to screw up here coming into the end and try and make his move to get a podium finish here. But it's going to be patience and strategy versus aggression and a little bit of a power there. So it'll be good to watch these guys coming into the end and seeing how they're going to play out. They still have, I think, one more stop to go before the end of this thing, and see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's probably going to be around about the 10 to 15 minute mark, I would probably think, to go. Maybe even closer than that, probably under 10 minutes. Right, Dan Kirby, JP, now in pit road at the 33-minute mark. If he will not be able to go to the end of the race on that. I mean, that is his second pit stop. I think he's got a splash and dash. Don't take tyres and just gun it out of the pit lane.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to have to do here for Dan Kirby. He's behind Troy Uyan by about 12.5 seconds. So we'll see how he gets on. Uyan taking the lead of the race now altogether. So Dan Kirby's going to have to play a little bit of catch up here once again. The interesting thing for me is JT Tammy currently no, he's not leading, sorry. Alec King's just further up there. Sorry, my bad on that one. Alec King's in pit lane, sitting in third overall. That should give Gutierrez third overall, with Gilles Lalonde in behind him and Jerry Chen behind that one as well. So these guys are still quite close together. They're going to carry on with their battle. Paulbert Reyes is leading GT3s. Max Sunferlap leading GT3 AMS. Not really making inroads at the moment for Paul Ibbotson, who we saw on the racetrack, unfortunately for him. So yeah, battles may be coming, but I think they're going to be a slow burner, and they'll probably come back together within about the last 10 minutes of the race.
Yeah, that is going to be the crucial thing, how the final set of pit stops set up the rest of the race. We've got a yellow out in sector number 2. So someone's had a little bit of a drama. Jerry Chen trying to do what he can. Oh, yellow's out again in Sector 2. What have you spotted, JP?
It's Tom the Seller, and I'm not going to compound his misery, but I might look at Norm Graff and what happened to him.
And he's behind Stephen Miller. Big hit. That was a big hit. Tom Nacella missed his braking point completely, heading into the 90 left at turn 7. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have a look on board. Look, he didn't really stop.
He didn't even stop. Like, he was, he didn't even, absolutely didn't even use brakes. Listen.
Yeah, he just completely misjudged it.
Do you know the weirdest thing as well? He almost turns into him. Watch his steering wheel.
Yeah, it turns left. Bang.
Yeah.
I'm wondering maybe the screen freeze or something else. Because that's I mean, Tom can make mistakes here and there, but he'd never just plow into somebody if you saw them going through there. I think there's a little more to the story than that.
Well, I'll let you try and find out what that story is, Ross, because that looks fishier than Grimsby's Harbour in the morning.
Yeah, that was a big old hit though, and Norm Graff, even though he is still leading the Hypercar AM classification at the moment, ahead of Hall and then Rice rounding out the top 3, it is still going to be that case of Norm Graff is lost a bit of time after that impact as well, and now Lanny Hall is 1.5 seconds behind him in the number 50 Cadillac V Series. Right, 30 minutes to go. Troy Uyen leads the race. Overall, Alec King, 6th, leads the LMP2 classification. Norm Graff, despite that heavy hit, as Dan Kirby thundering his way past both Jacobs and Overton. And Overton's going to do the old switcheroo up the inside, through into turn 7. And Matthew gets through on Eric Jacobs for P2 in the classification for the overall LMGT3 side of things. Then they're going to have to get past a very, very wounded Mustang of Tom Nacella. And that front end's going to need quite a lot of repairs. And he's off again. I think Nacella's had problems with the steering after that impact with Norm Graff, and he's just gone into the barriers right hand down of, like literally, he went to go past them. Oh, he tried to get out of the way, and the car just kept on turning right, and bang, he went into the barriers going into T11.
Yeah, I'd probably put that thing in pit lane by about now. And get whatever repairs if he has done. Well, saying that Tom Nacella's just absolutely DNF'd, which is no surprise after having shocking incident, I think that can safely say, on that one as well. So we'll let Ross go and decipher what went on in that. Hate to give my opinion and get myself in trouble, Mr. Ross Smith.
Yeah, I still think that there's just something technical going on there, because like I said, that's Tom's certainly not going to do anything there. I mean, we haven't seen anything to constitute any sort of revenge tactics. I think that he probably had a screen freeze or something like that.
Yeah, well, we'll leave you to do your Inspector Clouseau investigation, Mr. Smith, on that one. But I think it's more the point that, again, we are getting to that point in the race now, JP, that we're seeing quite a lot of mistakes start to happen, and we're into the business end of the season, and to go for a championship, you've got to have that air of consistency, but you've also got to be pretty much error-free. You can make the odd occasional slip up, but not anything too major that could put you out of contention for a major points haul.
Dude, if you can get through the race without any dramas at all, you know, that's the perfect race, right? There's a thing called the perfect storm, which if you've seen the film, is actually quite good, to be honest, even with George Clooney in it. But there's a thing called the perfect race, and the perfect race is not making any mistakes, not missing braking points, not going in deep, not having traffic incidents, not hitting somebody, not spinning, not messing up a bit, all the other things that make it up. Very rarely do you get it there as well. You know, everybody seems to make a mistake at some point, and that's the thing. Kirby goes in deep some points as well. Uyan pushes the limits on that car because obviously he wants to get on with it now as well, and he'll go in deep into a turn or miss a braking point or something like that. It happens constantly. But for me, I think as much as I'd love to sit here and go, Yeah, he had a screen freeze. I think the fact that the seller turned left, coming into a left-hander and not turning right to try and avoid anybody, yeah, I don't know on that one either. But hey, listen, what's a race without a little bit of drama?
Yeah, and that is part and parcel of motorsport, folks. It does happen. Meantime, Troy Uyen now leads the race itself by 15.5 seconds. And that will basically put him on 222 points. Look at me with my maths at this time in the morning here in the United Kingdom, JP? I actually
got your socks off or something.
No, I got my notepad out, my pen in my hand.
Oh, blimey. Well done you. But I think, you know what's going to be interesting is, although Uyan is leading, he's off-cycle pit stops with Kirby. I've got a funny feeling, although Kirby is, theoretically, he should have one more stop, I wouldn't be surprised if he saved enough fuel.
How's your fixer then working, mate? All good?
No, mate, I forgot to put it on before we go live. So I think he saved enough fuel that I wouldn't be surprised that he doesn't stop and Uyan loses the race to Kirby.
Yeah, true. I mean, the thing is that if I'm looking at it from this perspective, it's 30 points for a win, 26 for second, 23 for third, 20 for fourth in all the respective classes. Now, at the moment, well, Alec King is going to be the most winningest driver this season so far because he is on course, ladies and gentlemen, to pick up win number 7 of the season. The only time that he has DNF'd was the mess at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca at round 4 for him, where he went off at turn 6 twice and binned it in the barriers. The second one more spectacular than the first. And that is going to really help him. I mean, this will also, with the results here tonight, JT Tammy is going to go ahead of Luciano Acciazzo in terms of the standings. So, you know, it is going to be a 31-point advantage that Alec King will have, and all he needs to do is pick up the win at Road Atlanta, and he will have done the job, and Alec King will become our 2025 LMP2 VMSC champion. But of course, I'm looking at the hypercar side of things. If Ian wins it, it goes to 222 points for him, and Kirby, if he gets 26 points, that is going to put him on 221 by my calculations. So it'll be 1 point in it in the hypercar class going into the penultimate round of the season, which means we are going to have an absolute dogfight in that class right up until the final few minutes at VIR, which I'm really looking forward to. But again, we're seeing now Adrian Rice. I love the fact that he's brought back the Tequila Patron livery that we used to see when LMP2 used to be an open top category in American Le Mans series back in the day.
Yeah,
That's a good eye.
It is a good eye as well, and it's also better the fact that he was closing in on Norm Graf for the win in the Hypercar AMS. Unfortunately, though, that little bit of traffic, which is our good Velcro friends of Matty Overton and Jacobs, has just split that up just a little bit now, and unfortunately for Rice is now 1.5 seconds back. So they were a lot closer. Unfortunately, traffic doing its thing, and they have just broken it away by 1.5 seconds. But talking about Jacobs and Overton, they're still together. They have been together. They might as well be married at this point because they've been together for the whole entire time of this race. And they're still together now. So, you know, that battle's going to rage on as they're looking for second and third in the GT3 Pros overall.
Yeah. So it is going to come down to the wire here at Indianapolis, as we're seeing Eric Jacobs. That was in the way of Johnny Gutierrez in the 102 Bad Day Racing Peugeot. So Johnny has got Cherry Chen breathing down his exhaust pipes at the moment, and Cherry in the 963 Porsche is going to thread the eye of the needle. He's going to make it 3 wide into turn 7. Chen to the outside, Gutierrez to the inside. Cherry Chen is going to keep that hammer pinned down, but he can't get through. He nearly got the opportunity. He could have flown around the outside, but he decided, well, you know what? That's not probably the best place to overtake and maybe come out of turn 14 with a full head of steam in that 963 hybrid and get on the coattails of one Johnny Gutierrez. And that's exactly what's happening as they're going on their way down towards what will be turn 12. They've just got past Matthew Overton, and Gutierrez is ahead of Chen at the well, there is Jerry Chen himself, in that wonderful Coca-Cola livery. I love that chrome red livery. You were saying about this earlier, JP. I love that chrome red livery and that nice little touch of good old Americana with Coca-Cola logos on the side with the big shell, clamshell on the tail, on the fin of that car going to the rear wing.
Yeah, it looks amazing, doesn't it? I'm not going to lie. Fair play to Jerry. Good effort on that one as well, the way it sort of shines out, and now he's going to go and try. He's taking an opportune moment.
That's through turn 3. He's got him.
Got him done as well, so fair play.
Nice work there by Jerry in the number 6, 963 hybrid. Starting to try and pull away under full speed, going down the back straightaway into turn 7. So looks like Troy Uyen is coming in for his final pit stop of the race meeting, and that will take him to the checkered. But Ross, coming back to what James was saying, this was actually quite an interesting situation that we've got here with Dan Kirby, that if he saved that amount of fuel, do you think he's got enough to get to the flag? Because that could be very, very marginal for the 930.
No, there's no way. I mean, I could see maybe eking it out to maybe 25 to 28 minutes, somewhere in that range.
He only had 2 minutes at Ross. I think you're underestimating him. He only had 2 minutes to play with, and that's basically about a lap and a little bit. And I wouldn't be shocked, knowing Dan Kirby and knowing that I've seen him all season for the whole year in this one and VWSC. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's pulled. I really wouldn't. He's been off cycle throughout the whole race, and that's the thing. I would not be surprised if he doesn't go and pull it and takes the victory.
Well, if it's only 2 minutes, then yeah, they'll be able to take that. And both of them are sitting on 2 pit stops at this point, so they're running 3 stints. It's a little bit longer than I thought was going to be going through. I'm wondering if maybe it's just leaving off one of the pit stops that they would have had for the throughout the race. But yeah, I mean, they should be fine. I'm kind of impressed that he's been able to pull that much of a gap on them throughout the end of this race here. I mean, you look at the entire hypercar field, they really opened up, and right now it's basically like right now it's Chen and it looks like Gutierrez, right there. So we'll see how it goes with Lalonde getting up in this mix, but this is kind of where all of the action has been throughout the entirety of the race, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, coming on to Kirby again, JP, with regards to the pit stops that we've seen drivers on their marks for about 25 seconds, putting the fuel in, getting the tyres changed. How big is a run down the pit lane in terms of transit time for the hypercars? Because they'll be at very, very slow speeds.
Yeah, they will be, and they've been, don't get me wrong, the pit stop times have been taking a while, because we've seen, Kirby go in pits with 44-second gap and he comes out 15 seconds back, so it's a long pit stop anyway, and the pit lane just seems to want to go on forever. And obviously I think Kirby's probably right near the end of the pit lane, being from his position. So it is a long run, but I just don't know if Kirby needs to. I really don't know if he needs to. If Ross is saying 25 to 28, he was there with 30 to go. So I'm not entirely sure if he needs to even warrant going in. But hey, look, I'm not behind the wheel. Kirby knows what he's up to, I'm sure. So we'll find out as this goes on. But Jerry Chen and Johnny Gutierrez still having a right little bit of a ding-dong. It's all kind of settled down in GT3 a little bit. Norm Graf still leading Hypercar AM. Alec King still leading LMP.
Yeah, so we've got 17.5 minutes to go until we hit the checkered flag, and then we'll have our traditional NARS VSWC post-race interview show, talking with our race winners before we sign off, and then there'll be a little bit of a wait. We'll have our penultimate round, Road Atlanta, round 10 out of 11, and that will be taking place on the 23rd of October, and then Virginia International Raceway on the 20th of November. We'll see our 2025 VSWC champions crowned live on air. Jerry Chen trying to get through on Eric Jacobs, going through into turn 7, neatly done by the man in the number 6, 963 Porsche Hypercar, and Johnny Gutierrez still is within a second of him. He's managed to get through on Jacobs as well, so that gap will start to close on in as they both have a bit of clear air to deal with. But nevertheless, I'm trying to remember when Dan Kirby pitted, because that was quite a long time ago.
30 minutes to go. He pitted at 30 minutes to go.
So he could be, yeah. I think he went just north of 30 minutes on his opening stint as well, didn't he, James?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think he may have managed to save enough fuel. I'm just putting it out there. It might not be true, and it might not happen, and he may need to go in. But with what we got left, barely 16 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have to at all.
And with 16 minutes to go, Ryan Paulbert Reyes comes into the pits from the LMGT3 class lead. And that is going to give him quite a lot of opportunity to stay ahead of his nearest proponents, that being Eric Jacobs, who was a minute and 10 behind. That gap is going to come down. It is going to more than likely has promoted Paul Ibbotson to the LMGT3 overall lead, even though Paul is not battling Ryan Paulbert Reyes for position out on circuit, but might give him a nice little bit of a glint in his eye to say, like, well, I was the best of the LMGT3s tonight. But you have to say that with the way that Ryan Paulbert Reyes, as you rightly said, JP, a Porsche man through and through, we've seen him in nothing but that car. He lives and breathes the Mark from Weissach, and he's going to be very, very comfortable. But also the fact is that with regards to Alan Holden, okay, yes, it's going to be a difficult night in the office for the man in the number 25 296 Ferrari, but that is still going to give him 20 points to his credit, which will put him on 188 points in terms of the LMGT3 standings, and that will actually put him ahead of James Walker, who is not here tonight. So Holden will move up into second position, but will be, that is 32 points behind Reyes going into the penultimate round of the season.
Yep, and that's why this is going to come down to the wire. If we had a full Grand Prix track next, for instance, like Silverstone or Hockenheim or something like that, then you could sit back and go, okay, we could look and say they're going to finish where they are. But it's Road Atlanta. It's a different kettle of fish. 12 corners. Turned up the hill from 1. Through 2 and 3 is always dicey. Down the hill through 4 with traffic. Through the Wigglies.
Oh, Jerry Chen's got off.
No, he's in pit lane, Alex. As much as I love you screaming in my ear roll, 3:15.
Sorry, I got a bit too excited there.
No, he's gone into pit lane.
I'm sorry, Jerry. It's my bad.
Yeah, so that's the thing, you know, traffic down through from turn 3 down to 4. The curb at 5 can kill people. The run into 6 and 7, then you got to run down right the way down to 10, because apparently we don't have 8 and 9 in Road Atlanta. They're just little kinks on the circuit. You know, and then through the chicane. There's a lot of things that could go wrong at Road Atlanta. This is not done. This will not be done, and we're not going to see it done until we get to the end of VIR at the end of the season.
Yeah, completely agree with all that you just said there, JP. I mean, it's going to be the case of who's going to be able to weather the storm at the next 2 rounds, especially with the next round, as you said, Road Atlanta. There's so many. It's like it's the real roller coaster track that we've got on our calendar, and it is, of course, the home of Petit Le Mans. As dusk is starting to set in, the headlights are ablaze on the 102 of Johnny Gutierrez. We've got a yellow out in sector 3 as someone come a cropper at turn number 12. There's 2. Oh, Alan Holden, and I think that might, and Bowders as well. Oh, Alan, it's not gone well for you tonight, my good friend, and it's going to be the case that Alan's going to be coming in. He's going to hit the back of the Porsche and spin it backwards onto the apex. Oh, dear. Alan, it's not gone well for you tonight.
That's the lead battle. That's Ibbotson and Max Umfenlap in GT3 AMS, who got caught up in that one as well. But they're now a second apart. Mac is opened up a second gap over Ibbotson, but then again, as I said, that's just come down and he's lost 3 tenths already.
Oh, dear. I think Alan Holden, after tonight's race here, Ross, is going to be absolutely analysing this race right with the fine tooth comb and going, right, okay, I need to look at exactly where I went wrong, what I did wrong. He'll say to himself, why did I do that? Into turn 12 with about 12.5 minutes to go. It's just uncharacteristic of what we've seen earlier on from Alan this season.
You know, it's so hard whenever you have the wind taken out of your sails so early on in a race that, you know, it major respect to any of those drivers that they don't take the rage quit. You know, they stick with it, because anytime that you can get behind the seat and get some seat time, it makes a difference. It helps improve you as a driver, and helps you to find a little bit of something, as Paul Ibbotson is now getting a little bit hungry to try and get up there to see if he can be able to run out the rest of this stint and get up there and take that overall win for the GTM win. It's a little bit further away before he gets there. Actually, no, that is who we have up there. I guess it's no, Paul Ryan Palbert Reyes. Sorry, looking between too many screens here. Yeah, he's a little bit too far ahead. But yeah, Paul Ibbotson, you know, definitely wants to really sink his teeth in and take this on. They've been going at it just the same way that we've seen Overton and Jacobs going at it throughout the backside of the field, who right now, funny enough, they're on the podium for the GT3 class victory, but they're 18th and 19th respectively. As we take a look here at Brian Hall.
Parks it. The interesting one is this. Miller goes in pit lane and then gets DQ'd.
I
wonder if he must have hit his light button. His lights are off.
So, yeah, unfortunately for Stephen Miller, he's DQ'd. We've lost Brian Hall, Tom Lasella, and Carl Struhal, as I show you a nice picture of the pits there. Apologies for that one. Paul Ibbotson and Max Sunderland still going at it. The only real battle on track at this moment in time. Everybody else is a little bit spread out across LMP2, across Hypercar, and across Hypercar AM. So, yeah, this is the only real battle there. And as I say that, John Meyer just went off and Lanning Hall's just popped off as well. I mean, popped off the race circuit, not popped off as in all of a sudden got better.
No, I hear you on that one, buddy. I mean, it's just... it becomes like, you know, we've seen races this season where we've had races of attrition. Belle Isle, perfect example of that. I'm not going to talk about that any longer because we had more than our fair share of discussions during that race, didn't we, James?
We definitely did. Didn't we go, where was that?
Detroit, just Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit, didn't we? We went to Detroit and that was blinking horrible. So, yeah, fair play for them. That'll be a circuit we'll never have to revisit, hopefully.
Don't say it, Ross. Don't say it.
When is
it? It's still on the calendar for next year, so...
right, what day is it, Ross?
I don't know the day.
Okay, I've got...
Ibbotson inside at turn 12. Wheel to wheel they've got. That is going to be Rice right behind them, leading in the Hypercar AM class. And Ibbotson dives to the inside through the final corner. It's 3 wide coming out of it. Rice on the grass of the Acura. Oh my goodness me. And Ibbotson and Sunderland are wheel to wheel. 3 1,000s as they cross the line. Ibbotson's got the inside line. They are nearly swapping paint into T1. And Sunderland decides to go earlier on the brakes. Ibbotson dives to the inside and he's through. Sparks flying from the front splitter of that Porsche. And once again, things change at the beginning, with 7.5 minutes to go. And now they've got Dan Kirby, who is 10 seconds away from Troy Uyen. So I think now, Ross, Dan Kirby is in pure fuel-saving mode as well. Max Sunderland went off exit stage left big time there and lost a big amount of time to Paul Ibbotson.
Yeah, he did there, but you can see he's managed to hold it and he's not too far back. He's 1.3 seconds, so Max is going to have to go again. You are right, Dan Kirby is majorly fuel-saving at this moment in time because it's now down to 8 seconds. So what I predicted was true. And it looks like he's trying to get this car to the end of the race with 6.5 minutes to go.
He's losing
Oh,
several seconds throughout these races. I'm just looking at his sector splits. I mean, over almost a second and a half between just sector 1 alone, and it looks like it's the same story in sector 2, just looking between him and Troy Uyan. So this will be good.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really down to the wire at this point because we haven't got long left. 6.5 minutes to go. Dan Kirby, and with the lap times he's running at the moment, that's his last lap was a 1:21.8. Troy Uyan 1:18.6. That is 3.2 seconds on that last lap alone, and it's now down to 6.5 seconds. So Dan Kirby, I think here, James Parfitt, is fighting a losing battle with 6 minutes to go. You're probably going to be talking about 6 or 7 laps remaining, 5 or 6 laps, give or take. But Kirby has just got to use this traffic whisperer skills of his to keep Troy Uyan at bay for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough. But it will also really, from Kirby's point of view, is he going to have enough? Is he going to have enough time in general to stay ahead of Uyan? He's got 5 minutes on the clock. He's got 5.5 seconds. I said I wouldn't be surprised if he's fuel saving and going to take or look at taking the win, but yeah, scary amounts of fuel saving.
Yeah, and the gap with 5 minutes to go is now 4.5 seconds. And Troy Uyan 1:16.8, Dan Kirby 1:19.3. So I mean, Daniel must be absolutely marginal on fuel. He's just he's going to be lifting and coasting. You can hear it in the way that he's coming through the corners. He's not engaging the throttle like he normally would be at full speed. So he's got to just rotate the car through the corners, and it's about Uyan. It's about him now seeing that gap has come down significantly, and now he knows that if he gets ahead of Dan Kirby, then he will take a 1-point lead in the standings going into round 10 at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta next time out, the home of Petit Le Mans. And then Kirby will be going, right, okay, we've got 2 rounds to go. Let's both bring our A game, shall we?
He has track position, so I mean, he's going to catch him, but getting around him is going to be a whole other story. And I think Dan was looking at it saying like, well, this might be able to work out if I'm able to stay out in front of some of the traffic that he's going to have to deal with. It might be just enough of an offset to deal with it. You know, we're coming in, we're under 4 minutes to go. I mean, we're going to have, about another 3 or 4 laps here coming into the end, and he's 3.5 seconds behind. I don't know if there's going to be enough traffic coming through here at this point where it's going to be able to make much of a difference. So they're kind of free and clear until they come up onto some of those GT cars over the next lap or so, I want to say. But I mean, that's a lot of open air for them to be able to do it. So unless Kirby was holding back, maybe he was overly conserving, so that way he could have just a little bit at the end here, so that way he could push and defend. It remains to be seen. Dan's always keeping his cards close to his chest coming in the end of these things.
Yeah, that he is, and it could be one of the most impressive drives, if not the most impressive drive of this season so far. 3 minutes to go, and Dan Kirby making his way down towards turn number 12 here on what is lap number 68. So we could be looking at maybe total amount of laps covered, 71. By the time we hit the checkered, and it's going to be a blast across the start-finish line, 2 minutes and 38 on the timer. That effectively, James Parfitt, gives us 3 more laps to go.
Yep, 3 more laps that Kirby's got to try and save as much fuel as possible. Uyan's there, that's the problem now. Uyan can see him.
Yeah, and now they've got Eric Jacobs right in front as well now, so
tough spot.
It's a very tough spot as they come out of turns 5 and 6, and it's down the back stretch. Kirby straight away on the power, 2.3 seconds. That gap is closing down 2 seconds. And I'm waiting until Troy Uyen decides to put the high beams on that Caddy V Series R. And it is going to be really, really close. As now through into turn number 10 goes Dan Kirby. It's going to be tight here. Turn 11, and that's 140 miles an hour, 5th gear, up to 6th. 150 and climbing. Then it's going to be hard on the brakes down to 2nd at around 50 miles an hour. We are going to be, I think, the last lap from Kirby was 118.0. We are going to go on to our penultimate lap, depending on how quickly Kirby punches it across the line. 21, 20, 19, 18. And he's only, right, it's going to be last lap. It's going to be last lap now, because he did a 1 minute 19.3. So I think this is the last lap. And Troy Uyen here, James Parfitt, is now within striking distance. He's got about a 1.1 seconds gap between them. So I think now Kirby, he's got to make his defense through turns 7 to 11 to keep the man behind him at bay. But Uyen is losing a little bit of time going through the curbings at turns 5 and 6.
And what did we say? Catching's one thing, passing's another? Well,
here we go. Turn 7, and the gap is now 6/10. Now Troy Uyen, he's got to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the man in front of him. It's come down to the wire. 30 seconds on the timer. Now coming through out of turn number 11. 3 more corners to negotiate for Dan Kirby.
He's going to be saved here by that traffic.
Yeah, he is going to be, as through into turn 12, turn 13. Oh, and Kirby's in the pit lane.
No.
Oh, it was right down to the last lap. And Troy Uyen is going to blast his way out of the final corner. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's victory. It's victory for Uyen. We've hit 0 on the timer. It's going to be the check of this time out. It should be. But no, it isn't. It's one more lap.
I think it was slightly delayed. So, yeah, there is one more lap. Kirby.
Oh, Dan Kirby. Oh,
unbelievable.
I thought it was going to be last lap, but no, it is going to be one more lap to go, and Troy Uyen is going to lead the hypercar class by 1 point. After that drama that we just seen, it would have been 2.25 for Kirby, 2.18 for Uyen, had it been the other way around. And, well, what can you say? Troy Uyen here, James Parfitt, has got the head of steam going into the penultimate round of the season at Road Atlanta next time out on the 23rd of October. But he has played the game his way, and it's come out better for him than it has for Dan Kirby.
I would say Troy Uyen dodged a bullet there.
A big one. It was, I think it was a 50 caliber.
Yeah, absolutely dodged a bullet on that one for him.
But out he comes out of the final corner. Troy Uyen wins round 9 here at Indianapolis at the Brickyard, and with it picks up another victory, his 2nd in a row, and it puts him 1 point ahead of the man he's just beaten out on track. Alec King is going to pick up his 7th win out of 9 this season, but it is going to be a different name that we're going to see at the top of the Hypercar AM classification, because the number 48 Acura ARX 06 in the old school Tequila Patron livery, Adrian Rice has given us a little bit of a throwback to talk about, even though he's made a bit of a hash coming through out of turn 7 and 8. But he's done a sterling job in the meantime. And Adrian Rice is going to come out of turn number 11 through into 12, 13 and 14. Meantime, just going to see if we've had anyone else cross the line. Ryan Paulbert Reyes takes another victory in LMGT3. Paul Ibbotson takes the spoils here in LMGT3 AM ahead of Max Sunderlap, who will, by my calculations, go ahead. Well, I'm just going to try and work out the maths now.
Oh, dear.
He's going to be ahead by 2 points. 174 for Sunderlap, 172 for Macquarie. Nick Miller sorry. Well, it's going to be Mr. Miller is going to be. Well, he was DQ'd, so that is going to be a 0 score, and that is going to bring the top 3 together. That's no points for Stephen Miller. That means our top 3 in LMGT3 AM, guys, 5 points.
Here's the results for you, fella.
So, Troy Uyen takes the win after 70 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway ahead of Daniel Kirby, who had to dive in with 1 lap remaining on the counter. Gilles Lalonde and Johnny Gutierrez, it's a 3-4 for Bad Day Racing ahead of Jerry Chen. Alec King takes his 7th win in the LMP2 class, finishing 6th overall ahead of JT Tammy. John Mayer, Adrian Rice wins in Hypercar AM with Norm Graff rounding out the top 10 overall. Lanny Hall in 11th, head of Michael Locke, who rounds out the LMP2 category. Ryan Talbot Reyes wins LMGT3. And on the same lap, another Porsche takes victory. It's Paul Liberson for Vice Racing that wins LMGT3 AM ahead of Max Sunkenlap. Alexander McQuarrie rounds out 16th, head of Matthew Overton, with Eric Jacobs and Alan Holden rounding out 19th and 20th, with James Bowders rounding out your top 20. Olivier Gervais rounds out the finishers. Brian Hall retires ahead of Tom Nacella and Carl Strahal. And Stephen Miller, the LMGT3 AM leader in a surprising turn of events, gets disqualified from the race. Ooh. Well, firstly, before we have some brief interviews to close out the show here tonight, a big thank you to all our partners, contributors and sponsors, the likes of Storm Gang Simulation, Champion Motorsports, simrace247.com, Grid Finder, JM Virtual Tracks, Brian B, and the list goes on and on. And we have got our overall race winner for round number 9. It's his 2nd win in a row for this man here, and it puts him 1 point ahead in the standings. Let's bring this man in. Let's bring in Troy Uyen. Troy, how close was that?
Hey guys, holy, that was a race and a half. That was insane. Yeah, I kind of was sleeping at the start. Forgot to change my engine mixture. So I was just on the low mix as the race started, let Dan get around me pretty easily, unfortunately. And I was like, man, maybe I just don't have race pace. 3 laps in, I remembered, like, oh, I should turn that little knob. It might make the engine go faster. And yeah, from there I was pushing as hard as I could the whole race. So I am super happy with that. I cannot believe I forced him to the last lap to need an extra splash, and so it's still sinking in. I'm so happy.
You want to know what's even more mind-boggling now? Huh. You're leading the hypercar by 1 point. If it was the other way round, you would have been 7 points behind Daniel after that.
Let's go. Let's go.
I want to ask you one question. What can we expect from you at Road Atlanta in a month's time?
Well, I'm on a streak, right? That's 2 in a row. I mean, I should put some actual practice time in. Let's make it 3. Let's do it.
Brilliant. Well, Troy, congratulations on the W. New championship leader in Hypercar with 2 rounds to go. Before we let you go, Troy, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, all the guys, you guys for doing the broadcast. Ross is always lurking in there doing a bunch of stuff, and the rest of the admins. And yeah, CMS Pro guys. Thanks for the setup.
Brilliant. Well done, Troy. We'll see you in a month's time at Road Atlanta for the penultimate round of the season.
See you guys.
Big thank you there to Troy Uyen. Whilst we are waiting for some other people to turn up, actually, we have got our Hypercar AM class winner in the booth with us now. Let's bring the man in. He's brought a bit of retro livery in the form of Tequila Patron back from the open top LMP2 ALMS days. Adrian Rice in the Acura. Congratulations on winning here at the Brickyard. How are you feeling?
Not too bad for a race. I jumped in with about 30 seconds of practice left to go and hadn't done any practice or driven the car or had a setup or anything. I'll take it.
But firstly, I have to say, lovely call on the livery. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. What inspired you to bring that livery to an Acura of all things? Because, of course, Tequila Patron did run with the Acuras back in those days.
it was in the list, and it was there, and it was black and green and bright, and I thought, well, that'll do.
They couldn't exactly miss it, but 30 seconds of practice into qualifying, and you pip some of the usual guard. But what was your strategy for the race anyway?
Just to keep going. I mean, literally, I haven't been on into any of these races for a good 2 or 3 months, and I didn't have race distances. I didn't have any strategy overlays. I didn't have any. I didn't even actually know how long the race actually was. I didn't actually check before as far as number of laps. So I was just like, well, whatever it tells me, I got my little fuel overlay there. Whatever it tells me on the last stop, I put another lap worth in, and that's what I'll do. And that was literally it. I mean, I had to sort of hope, because I did crash before my second pit stop, which cost me an extra bit of time. So I may have been able to stay ahead of the LMP2 guys, but they're quick anyway. So, but we ended up where we ended up, and that's the best part of it.
Brilliant, Adrian. That's what I like, sort of like gung-ho side of things on that. So well done on the W tonight in the Acura. Anyone want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just thanks to the guys for putting it on. It's always good fun when I have a good race. Haven't had many this year, so nice to have a good one.
Brilliant, Adrian. Hopefully we see you in that wonderfully liveried Acura back in the next couple of rounds to close off the season. But well done on getting to victory lane tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, with that in mind, let's bring in the most winningest driver of the season. It's 7 from 9 for Mr. Alec King. Well, Alec, that was a pretty interesting one between you and JT throughout the race.
Yeah, no, it was pretty fun. Him and I kind of playing cat and mouse a little bit. Had a couple little slight mishaps that kind of closed the gap back in. So then it turned into just trying to maintain and see what we could do. But all in all, pretty happy to get another one. It's fun having JT, and when you have a real race like that where him and I are kind of playing cat and mouse and trying to still hit a fuel number, get your heart rate up a little bit, and it turns into a good time.
Well, also, this means that you've actually got a new challenger, because obviously Luciano not being here tonight, this promotes JT to second in the standings. You, good sir, are on 210 points, JT on 171. So let me just put this question to you. Could be an interesting one at Road America. Road Atlanta next time out. Road America, we've already had that. It's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day. It could be a very, very much a season-defining moment for you, good sir.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited to see what we can do. If you can win the championship early, and if I could finish it out, it'd be great. But it's just trying to be smart. The last 2 seasons, actually, I'll say it now, I have not had a good Road Atlanta. In 2023, had an incident going down the hill and hit a GT3 car in a 963 hypercar. And then last year was pacing Kirby and just made a dumb mistake and went off in turn 1. So I love the track. It's a great track, but I definitely need to keep sure I keep my head on straight and just don't do anything stupid come next race.
Make sure we don't have a repeat of Laguna Seca like we had earlier on this year, right?
Yes, no, exactly. So it's kind of funny though. If I can win, next race, VIR I feel confident in for the final race, just because I've raced that track a couple times in real life, so I know it really well. But this past weekend I went and ran our real life championship, and
I was just about to say, I heard the news from Ross. Congratulations on that front, my good man. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
But on that note, Mr. King, would you like to give anyone a shout out to before we let you go tonight and enjoy your victory?
Yeah, just thank you to the Storm Gang Simulation crew, Champion Sim Racing, all the guys for coming out tonight. We had a little bit of a smaller field, but we always get our regulars, and they're the people that are able to make this happen for us. Just the whole Champion Motorsports crew, JT for always being a good teammate. I think him and I actually have wrapped up the team's championship tonight. But yeah, just all my guys for helping out. Preston, Tucker, and them were busy this weekend working on my car, getting it ready. So they took this week off to kind of relax. But I'm hoping they'll actually be at the next 2 rounds. But just thank you guys for commentating, and everybody for supporting the series. So I've been having a lot of fun, and yeah, hoping to start testing some different cars here soon, and then come next season, we'll try and change classes again.
Brilliant. Alec, congratulations on once again hitting victory lane. 7 races, 1 out of 9. We'll see you next time out at Road Atlanta in a month's time for the penultimate round of the championship season.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
Okay, 2 more interviews to close out today's post-race interview show, and let's bring in a man who lives and breathes Porsche. It is none other than our LMGT3 winner, Ryan Talbot-Reyes. Ryan, firstly, another victory in the bag. You must be feeling pretty good after that one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought, it was going to be a tough one because Alan had some pace. Keeping him behind me, I was just eyeing the relative, and he had I think he had lower wing than me, so he was good on the straight. So, unfortunately, I think he got taken out, or I think he got into an accident, and managed to, keep the pace for the entire race. So, yeah.
I mean, also, this puts you at a really, really big amount of points, 220 points, and looking back, that's your 5th win of the season. Of course, you had the engine dramas at Detroit. You had the 5th place at Sebring, but apart from that, you haven't placed outside of the top 2 for the majority of the year. And now, your nearest challenger is the man that's had a bit of drama. Alan Holden now jumps to 2nd in the standings because we've had no James Walker here tonight. That really adds another dynamic that it's Porsche versus Ferrari again, isn't it? Just like in the World Endurance Championship.
Definitely. I'm riding the Porsche wave right now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes in the next couple of rounds. I do have some scheduling stuff that I have to kind of figure out. So hopefully I can make all the rounds, but definitely looking forward to battle Alan and is it James, I think? Walker, yeah. I think that's my other opponent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Ryan, before we let you go, firstly, congratulations on your 5th win of the season. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
Oh, definitely my buddies, Alex and Mac. They always help me set up the car throughout the week, and also my girlfriend for allowing me to, spend some time away from her and, get on my rig and just, keep at it for a couple hours. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Ryan, we'll hopefully see you next time out at Road Atlanta for the penultimate round of the championship season. Well done tonight.
Have a good night, guys.
And time for our last post-race interview. It was Porsche victorious in LMGT3, and it was also in GT3 AMS. Vice Racing's Paul Ibbotson joins us. Paul, good evening. You had some dramas in that race, but you finally came up smelling of roses here at the Brickyard.
I made it to the end. Yes, felt good.
I mean, we have to say that the battle between you and Mac was absolutely riveting at times. I mean, it's difficult enough when you're battling each other, but then when you've got these hard-charging, fast-closing hypercars and LMP2s surrounding you two, it was quite difficult at times to try to think, oh, right, there's Mac. Oh, who's coming up? Oh, that's Daniel. That's Troy. You're having to have your eyeballs on stalks and in the back of your head, aren't you?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy racing with Mac. I know towards the end of the race, there was I was trying to pass him in the last corner, and my crew chief was telling me that we were 3 wide. And I was trying to figure out where was the hypercar, and it turned out it was on the outside of us. But yeah, I just, Mac's a good guy. I like racing with him, and I try to leave him room. We did a lot of corners together tonight, and I think we're both pretty respectful and left each other room. So yeah, it was great racing.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations on the win, Paul. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my father may actually be watching tonight. I'm not sure, but if he is, hi to Philip. I just saw him last week, and it was great to spend some time with him.
Brilliant. Paul, congratulations on once again being able to get to victory lane for what is effectively, you've scored the most victories this season in the AM class, 4 out of 9. Well done tonight. We'll see you at Road Atlanta for the penultimate round of the season in a month's time.
Thank you. See you there.
Well, good to hear from all our race winners there, James and Ross. You know what? Indianapolis has set the tone for the next 2 rounds, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Bring on Road Atlanta. Anything could happen. It's all going to happen, and probably something will happen. Don't really
Ross,
know,
anything
Ross,
from your
I
side?
don't really need to add anymore, Ross. So go on.
Yeah, you kind of said it all. Like you were saying before, Alex, it's leading up to a really great finale here for the last 2 races. Really great American tracks. They're crowd favorites. Everybody, of course, knows Road Atlanta for Petit Le Mans, and we'll have that interesting finish at VIR without the tree, of course. But it's still got a lot of great sentimental value. The course is just, it's got all kinds of challenges. It's fun. It's a driver's track. It's a little bit of a roller coaster out in that Virginia landscape. So looking forward to all of it and being there with the whole crew.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, folks, for live coverage of round 9 of 11 of the NARS Virtual Modern Sports Car Championship, a chapter of Champion Motorsports. You've been in the company of Alex Goldschmidt, James Parfitt, and Ross Smith. And let me close off the show with this note. Hypercar, the battle for the championship split by 1 point. LMGT3 AM now covered by 5 points between the top 3. What's going to happen at Road Atlanta in 4 weeks' time? Well, you're going to have to wait a little while and join us then. And until next time, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.